Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Chris. Chris is from Los Angeles in the USA. So let's see what Chris has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hello Chris, I'm very well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Sorry I'm late.
Not a problem at all. Are you okay? All comfortable?
Yeah, I'm good. Some issues with the tuk-tuk.
Right, Chris. So before we start the game, just tell me where you're from.
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Oh, wow. But I believe right now you are in Egypt.
I am. I'm visiting my boyfriend who is an archaeologist and is working here for 6 months.
Amazing. How about you? How you want to stay for 6 months as well?
No, I'm only here 2 weeks, and my 2 weeks is up on Sunday night, and I fly back to California.
I see. And what's the best part of living in LA?
The weather.
And what do you do for a living, Chris?
I am a hotel consultant.
Tell me a little bit about your job.
So I specifically work on hotel development projects. So I work on building hotels all over the world.
I see.
And so I do a lot of design and branding work. So pretty much anything, I'm involved with anything before a hotel opens.
See. And before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself.
Something interesting about myself. I would say I'm very much an old school adventure explorer enthusiast. So I love to go out and see the world and meet people.
I see. I was checking your profile a little bit and I could see that you've been around 52 countries so far.
So far, and many more to go.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So for the game, I'm going to ask some questions about your trips and about your life and about your job as well, okay?
Sure, looking forward to it.
Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got... box full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to move a little bit before the first question. Ready?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, Chris, so just before we start the game, through the journey, if there is a question that you don't have an answer for or you don't want to answer for some reason, always can change, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with the first question. Which movie had a big influence on you?
Ooh, good question. I would say a movie that had a big influence on me, this is going to sound weird, but was the movie V for Vendetta. Came out when I was in high school and came out when I was trying to be more open about who I was as a gay man. And one of the particular characters in there had a very powerful moment in there about being honest and true to who you are. And that resonated with me and it really helped me come out.
See, and how old were you when you came out?
I was 16.
Very young, very young. And tell me a little, walk me through the day when you came out. It was something happened or it just was like, okay, that's the day, I just feel comfortable about coming out. So tell me a little bit about it.
Ooh, good question. So I was already madly in love with a boy who I went to high school with, and we went and saw the movie together, and it really hit me hard that I had accepted who I was, but I wasn't ready for other people to accept me for who I am. And being in Los Angeles, I realized I had a much better chance of it than a lot of people. And it just sort of all melted at once and just, was pretty, at the time, in my mind, loud and proud about who I was and who I loved and was very excited about it. But it was much more focused, oddly enough, focused on my peers than it was on my family or adults in the world. It was more about making sure I was accepted by my own friends.
See, was him your first love?
He was, and that was a long time ago.
Next question for you. Chris, before the next question, tell me, what do you like the most about your job? And of course, there's always a challenge time as well. What will be the most challenging part of it?
The most challenging part of my job is dealing with people who don't necessarily understand how hotels work or what consumers are looking for. But my favorite part of my job is being able to travel and work around the world. It's what I truly value most in life.
Very good. Next question for you is, do you think your priorities have changed since you were younger?
Oh God. Yes, a lot. It's shifted. I was very much, when I was younger, very much a workaholic, feeling like I had to prove myself. And it's very much changed now to being able to enjoy life and the journey that I'm on, because I've only got one shot at it and I've got to enjoy it while I've got it.
I see. Totally agree. I think traveling around the world, and the older you get, I think you prioritize other things as well. And I think life starts going faster than before.
It goes so fast now. You have no idea. I've like, even COVID aside, the amount of things that have happened over the last few years, it's like a blink of the eye.
Absolutely. Next one. Good moods, Chris. Good moods. Right. Tell me something that you can't live without.
Oh, God, that's a good question. I would say I can't live without my dog. That would be one. Okay, so something less emotional is I can't live without my passport, because travel is my life.
Did you ever count how many stamps you have on it for different countries?
I know I've been to 53 countries, but there's a lot more stamps in it than that, because I used to live in England, and so I travel back and forth between the US and England quite a bit.
Right.
But one of my favorite things to do is actually just to sort of flip through my old passports, and each little stamp has a memory. So that's one of my favorite things to do.
Where's about your living in England?
I went to boarding school, and I lived there when I was a teenager, and that also helped me define who I was and be comfortable with who I am. So my closest group of friends all live in England still. Prior to COVID, I would still visit 2 or 3 times a year. So England is as much my home as Los Angeles is.
Amazing. Next question. So before the next question, how is your British accent?
These days, it's terrible. When I used to watch James Bond movies all the time, it was a little better.
Right, I was about to ask. Can you answer the next question in your best British accent?
Oh boy.
That's fine, don't worry. Next question is, what do you like the most about yourself?
I would say it's both my best quality and my worst quality is my curiosity. I've got questions until the cows come home. I always have more questions. So I love to learn about the world, but I also know it drives people crazy.
I was about to ask, what's the negative side of it? Just because people, they don't know how to deal with that, with your question?
Yeah, because it's a lot of questions, and sometimes, a lot of people don't like being asked questions, but I don't mean it from a bad place. It's purely a curiosity.
Cool. Next question. Before the next question, tell me what's the most challenging part of living in LA and growing up there as well?
I think the most challenging part of growing up in LA is there was a lot of bad influences growing up in LA. I lived there the bulk of my life. And I have a lot of friends who got sucked into the darker things of life, especially as teenagers. And it ate a lot of people alive, including some of my own siblings. So I think that was the hardest thing growing up, was trying to avoid a lot of that stuff, but then also still enjoy life as a kid. Sorry, dark answer to a simple question.
It's just honesty. This question for you is, what is the first thing you think about when you wake up, usually?
Ooh, first thing I think about when I wake up is, A, what the heck is going on in the news today? And then B, what is my boyfriend up to? So right now, as we're in Egypt, he works here. So he leaves for work at like 5:30 in the morning. And I'm stuck here, not stuck here, but I wake up here by myself. So I'm wondering, what is he doing on his dig? What mummies did they find today, or what tombs did they dig up? And I don't hear from him for a couple hours later in the day when they have their break. But that's my first thing, like, what is he up to?
It's your first time in Egypt or not?
It's my first time living in the dig house with all the archaeologists. Wow. But not my first time in Egypt.
Amazing. Next question. This question for you is, Chris. Describe yourself in one positive word and one negative word only.
I think the positive word is ambitious, and the negative word is ambitious.
Why is a negative word in your opinion?
I think growing up, I was always the dreamer in class, and I've had big, lofty goals since I was a kid of what I want to do, especially in the hotel business world. And sometimes you dream too big and it bites you in the, but other times it's what fuels me and keeps me going. So I feel like my success in life is because I've been ambitious, but my challenges in life have also been because I'm ambitious. But yeah.
Cool. Next one. Let's do it. Chris, before the next one, tell me how did the hotels industry started your passion about it? Tell me a little bit.
So I was very fortunate in life when I was younger. My family, we traveled a lot, and we were actually in Hawaii once a quarter. And one of our very dear family friends was the general manager of a very famous hotel in Hawaii, where we would stay. And as I got older and older, by older, I mean like when I was 5 or 6, he would start encouraging me to go like hang out with the team members, give lays to guests, welcome them, hang out at the front desk, learn about the island. And it just kept growing from there. And it also delved into also my real interest in architecture, because that particular hotel is a very famous 60s era design building. So I was given the great opportunity to take my passion for hotels and architecture and travel at a young age and sort of turn it into one cool experience. And then my neighbor growing up was also an executive for Four Seasons. And one of the coolest gifts I was given as a kid was being able to be the guinea pig for a number of Four Seasons in the 90s for their kids programs. So before these hotels would open, my family would get to travel to them and we get to try everything out. Wow. And yeah, a lot of really cool behind the scenes opportunities as a kid to see it. So yeah, it became my everything.
I was working in the hospitality hotels for 10 years.
Where were you?
F&B department, food and beverage. And I tell you something, I was very lucky and fortunate as well that when I started my career, I was working at a five-star company, Firmdale's Hotels. It's a boutique hotel in London. And I remember when I went for the interview, I said, look, I don't have any experience. I never worked in a five-star hotel before. And I think the food and beverage manager, she liked this approach that I said, okay, I would like to try and see. And she gave the opportunity. And everything I've learned, how to talk to the guests, customer service, everything about food, I remember when I started working in the hotel, I even didn't know what porridge was. And I was like, my God, what's that porridge? I remember the guests calling for breakfast, and I was like, there's this list of a lot of things, like, oh my God, it looks like a different language for me. But I'm very fortunate as well. I never worked so hard in my life. I mean, worked really hard, but at the same time as well, it's the best experience you have. I think working hospitality hotels, you just learn a lot and you connect with people around the world. It's just amazing.
Food and beverage is grueling and exhausting. So my first paying job in a hotel was with Four Seasons in LA, and I worked in the kitchen, and I worked what they call, as you probably know, garde manger. So salads and fruit bowls and all the cold stuff. And it was exhausting. A lot of people find it interesting. My favorite department from an operations perspective was actually working in housekeeping. Wow. Because it was as energetic as food and beverage, but not quite as exhausting. So every day it was something different, something exciting, some challenge. Yeah. But I could go home at the end of the day and not be completely exhausted. But no, hotels, there's so many great things, and every team is like a family. So I love it, and it's a lifestyle. It's definitely something you're made for.
In 2016, I had the opportunity to work for Disney Cruise Line, for Disney World, for a short contract. And again, it was just like, wow. I always tell my friends, hospitality, if you have the opportunity to do at least one contract on cruise ship, please do, because it's a plus. It's a plus. You learn a lot, you work hard. But
that's something I really tried to get into because I've always been fascinated with that business too. But it was, when I had my opportunity to try, it was during the sort of Great Recession 12 years ago, and nobody was hiring. No matter how many applications I put in, you got the qualifications, but we're not looking. And I was like, but I would love to have done something like that. So I'm jealous you got to do it.
It's amazing. And I was, Disney World, you know what I mean? They're the best of the best, and there are no plan. I remember I thought I was a disciplined person before I went there. But when I got there, I was like, oh my God, everything I learned is here. There are no plan B in Disney. There's no plan B, just plan A. Next question for you is, what gives you butterflies?
Ooh, what gives me butterflies? Staring into my boyfriend's eyes, because he's so special. But then also getting to do things that are incredibly unique moments in life. For example, being here in Egypt, we got to go into some special areas of temples and tombs the other day. Wow. And it's things you sort of see and read about as a kid when you're fascinated with ancient Egypt. But now standing in these places that normally people don't get to go to. So yeah, those moments give me butterflies. It's those special little moments in life where you don't know they're going to happen, but then they do.
I'm sure your boyfriend's going to be very happy to watch this interview and know that.
I'm sure he will be, but he's a great guy, and I'm very lucky to have him.
Very good. Next question. Cool. Next question for you is, what has been the lowest point of your life?
The lowest point of my life. So I went through a horrible breakup. This is between senior year of high school and freshman year of college. I went through a horrible breakup. I got diagnosed with a neuromuscular disease and got into some legal trouble, all of which happened within like a 3-week period.
Wow.
And it was by far probably the deepest, darkest time where you feel like everybody's against you, the world hates you, why am I here? And what's the one way out of this? And you contemplate doing some really stupid things to yourself. But yeah, that was the 18, 19-year-old summer gap there was pretty bleak, but at the time I ended up meeting some great friends who helped me sort of adjust to a life after being diagnosed with a disease that you don't really expect. It's a genetic thing that you get born with, but they don't know a hell of a lot about it. So it's one of those things, once you're able to put a face to the demon, you can help conquer things, and having the right support group around you helps you overcome it. But that was definitely I think the time in life where I felt most lost at sea, for lack of a better phrase. There was another time in life when I was 26, 27, where things got pretty rough. And I tell people, it took one of those moments where you've got to sort of stand butt naked on top of a mountain and scream your lungs out, and just let it all go, and realize that life is a journey, and you got to live every day like it's your last, and not take stuff too personally. It's just got to just ride the wave, honestly. Total horrible California surfer colloquialism, but just ride the wave. But there's been a few times, like everybody, I guess.
As they say sometimes, when, as you said, being through a breakup and some disease, everything sometimes comes everything one time, you know what I mean? And you go like, wow, and I survived. I think when you look back, you go like, okay, I managed to do it, you know? But for sure, when you are facing at the time, it's not easy, for sure.
It's not, no, but you just got to take it in stride, as tough as it is, and not give up. I think the thing you realize, I've had some friends who've thought about doing the unimaginable as well, and some who have done it, unfortunately. But I hope people who ever watch this and may ever be there in their life, there's a lot of better alternatives than that. And one rough day or one rough period doesn't overdo what else life has in store for you.
Sure. Next question?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Very good answer, Chris, for sure. Next question for you is, what is the worst pickup line have you ever heard?
So the worst, it wasn't said to me, but I overheard a professor in college say this, and he was probably 60 years old, and he was talking to probably a 25-year-old girl. And we were at a class bowling party kind of thing that he paid for everybody to go just before Christmas. And I'll never forget this. It was a horrible pickup line, but he said to the girl, "Do you know how much a polar bear weighs?" And of course she said no. And he says, "It's enough to break the ice. Hi, my name's John." And that was the pickup line. And I'm like, oh my God. It's one of those, it's so bad you never forget it. It was like, oh, dude, just like stop while you're ahead. Just, but he was the guy, white hair, drives a red Corvette, thought he was everything, but like, oh, dude, that was the worst line. So I've remembered it, 15 years later, but never heard anything worse.
Oh, wow. I'm just wondering if it worked or not.
Yeah, it's a good question. Good question.
Oh dear, at least I have story to tell. If I would hear that, I would be like, oh my God, what? I don't try to find myself. I'm like, no, I don't.
I know, I was like, oh,
I don't say
bad.
That. 3 questions left for you.
Yes, sir.
Chris, as you're saying about how you've been traveling around the world, tell me one funny country that not funny, but a situation in a country that you visited that you're not expecting, you're expecting something different, and suddenly something fun or something interesting or something, a challenge maybe, something that happened to you through your travel around the world.
So there is a story I like to tell. I don't know who your audience is, but it's a very awkward story, but humorous at the same time. I was backpacking 3-4 years ago in Jordan. This was my first sort of real trip to the Middle East. And in Jordan, there's this amazing place called Wadi Rum, which is where it looks like Mars. Everything is red. And they filmed the movie The Martian there. But it's where Lawrence of Arabia lived and all the camels and all the craziness of the desert. And I hired these local Bedouin guys to take me overnight. So essentially 2 days, 1 night through the desert. And so end of the first day, I've been with these guys all day. They've told me about their families, their lives. They've cooked me food. It's now like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. We're watching the sunset over the desert. Amazing thing. And one of the guides says he's going to take off to go set up camp for the night. I'm like, okay. And I sit down on the rug thing and watching the sunset go on. And the other guide starts talking to me and he's like, hey, do you want me to take your picture with the sunset? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. Like, here's my phone. You've taken my picture all day. So he takes the photo. I look at it. It's a horrible photo, but I'm like, whatever, it's the sunset. And I sit back down and he says to me, so do you do any online dating? I'm thinking, that's a weird question, being 30 miles out into the desert. I'm like, nah, not really. And dude, to be honest, out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not sure what's going to work for you. And he's like, oh, okay. A few minutes go by and he's like, have you ever heard of this thing called grind? And I'm like, Grinder? He's like, yeah, have you ever heard of that? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. And he's like, are you on it? And I'm like, I'm in the Middle East. I'm like, no, I'm not on it. No. And he's like, oh, okay. Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not on it. He's like, oh, okay. A couple more minutes go by. I'm still watching the sunset. And he gets up and he goes over to the truck we've been riding in. He comes back and he holds up his phone. He's like, isn't this you? And I'm like, oh, part of my language off. And I'm suddenly thinking, this isn't going to go well. I'm like, I'm in the Middle East. This isn't going to go well. I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh. Awkward silence. He's like, you want to? I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, do you want to go drink? I'm like, no, not really. He's like, are you sure? It's like, we can't tell anybody about it. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to tell anybody about it. He's like, well, we can just go over there and there's nobody to see us. I'm like, oh crap. It's like my backpack is in the back of the truck. If I say no, he could leave me out here.
Oh my God. Was just two of you?
It's just the two of us at this point.
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, fine. So we go over behind the cliff face and he does his thing. Like 10 seconds later, he's done. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I'm like, okay. He's like, oh, no, you have to finish too. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm now really annoyed. And I look over, the sunset's done. It's gone. This amazing sunset I was watching I've missed the whole thing. And he's like, okay, great. I'll give you a ride to camp. And I'm like, no, I can see where your friend went and I'm just going to hike there and I'll meet you there. He's like, oh, okay. So the whole night goes on and we get to the camp. There's this other couple there, this Indian couple who are there on their honeymoon. I've brought like a little thing of whiskey. So I'm giving them a little drink of whiskey for their honeymoon. And we're sitting there talking, watching the stars go by as night went on. At some point we all went to bed and I'm in my tent and I have no idea how much time's gone by, but my brain turns on and says, there's somebody in here.
Oh my God.
And you sort of do that one, you open your eye and I look up and there's the guy and he's standing over me. Oh, and I started yelling at him, like, get out, like, what are you doing here? And he's like, shh, nobody can know. I'm in here. I'm like, yeah, nobody can know, get the hell out. It's like, no, I want to get off with you again. I'm like,
oh my Lord.
I'm like, fine, okay. Whips it out. He does his thing. 10 seconds later, he's done. I'm like, thank God. So I push him out of the tent, all over my sleeping bag.
Oh my God.
So I end up sleeping on the ground of the tent you don't really sleep. You stay awake the whole night and get up around sunrise. And he's acting totally cool. Everything's normal. And I'm like, just get me out of here. Like, I'm so over this. And so we get back to town, and then he has the gall to come up, and he's like, in Arabic, bakshish is the word for tip. He's like, bakshish? And I'm thinking, dude, you already got the tip. Like, you're done. Like, and he starts making a scene in front of everybody.
Oh no.
So I'm like, here's money, just go away. Just go away. So I leave and get in my rental car, and I start driving towards Petra, and I get a message, and it is Grindr. It goes off, and it says, hey, nice meeting you. We should hang out again. I'm like, block. So with my friends now, whoever in the world listens to this, my friends like to make jokes about the masturbating Bedouin. It does happen. So be careful. A lot more out there than just camels. So a lot of masturbation as well. But yeah, so that's the awkward travel story that I have of things I didn't expect in a Middle Eastern country was being found on Grindr and used out in the middle of nowhere.
I think he was in love with you.
I think so, just a little bit. But yeah, that's the probably the most awkward, unexpected travel experience I've ever had.
I think he was in love and he didn't know how to express his love to you.
Apparently, I saw the whole thing.
Oh my dear. Next question.
Yes, sir.
Which talent do you wish you had?
Which talent I wish? I wish I had the talent to fly. With all my travel and my idea, if I could be a superhero with being able to fly and just ride in the clouds, that to me would be heaven. So yeah, that's an easy one. I'd love to be able to have the power to fly.
Maybe one day, never know.
Never know. I'm working on my jetpack out back right now.
2 questions left. Let's do it. Chris from Los Angeles. Next question for you is, what should be your ideal day?
My ideal date?
Yeah.
My ideal date, oh boy, if my boyfriend watches this, I'm going to give him ideas. My ideal date would be somebody else picking me up for a change. Maybe being, picked up, taken somewhere for a really nice glass of wine, and sharing amazing travel or experience stories.
Oh, wow.
Because, we could go see a movie, we could go to dinner or whatever, but I want to know about what makes, sort of like your show, I want to know what makes you tick, what makes you excited in life. So I'd love to be able to just sit and swap travel stories and have a great wine and laugh and giggle and sort of like the story I just told you, and just have that and then come back and see where the night goes.
Oh, sweet, very sweet. I think you'd have a lot of stories to tell for your travel around the world. Oh my God, for sure.
There are a lot of them.
Last question, Chris, let's do it. Before the last question, I would like to tell me, what was the best experience you had as a guest in the hotel, and what was the most challenging one that you have as well as a guest?
Ooh, probably the best experience I've had in a hotel was checking in, having everybody know my name, because it's sort of in your profile. You've stayed there before. Everybody knows what you want. Everybody knows what you like. And I'm an avid car person. I love cars. And I checked in one time to this hotel I've stayed at before, and a friend owns the company. And I walked into my room, and there's a ton of like model cars that they got for me that are all marked Miami Beach.
Wow.
And so that was just a fun, cute little thing of, you don't really expect it. Normally you think you're getting a bottle of wine or some fruit or something, but to have a bunch of different cool like model cars all marked with where you are and the date, that was a really fun little experience that I loved. Probably the craziest thing I've read, I stayed at a hotel in London called the Connaught, and there's a button by your bed that's for the butler, and that was very cool to just push, and somebody would come and you would, instead of on the phone, you tell them in person what you would like for breakfast. That was amazing. Very unusual. Very different, very old school, but it was cool. Worst experience, I've had some really bad ones, but the worst one in the most recent memory was having a shouting match at the front desk of a hotel in Cairo in September. And it's a big brand, very prominent American hotel company with a hotel in Cairo in Egypt. And having to scream and yell that, yes, I want one bed in my room with my boyfriend, and I get that your country, your culture might not approve of it, but you work for the largest hotel company in the world, which is based in the US, and I know your corporate standards and you're currently breaking them. To where it devolved into shouting at them, which I hate doing. I rarely ever get into that position, but shouting with them, making a complaint to the management company who said it's not their problem, who then forwarded on to the owner who said it wasn't their problem, who then forwarded on to corporate in Maryland, back in the States, and never got a response. And for being the largest hotel company in the world, it was abysmal and appalling. And yeah, so the millions of dollars they spend every year in the States for gay rights and during Pride Month is a crock. So that's the most recent bad experience I've had.
I'm glad you're sharing that story, because I think let's encouraging people to to try to see the gay community, to see what can be done or how can we embrace that. And now you're going to encourage people to go there, gay guys, okay, I would like to have a single bed.
Exactly. And what's infuriating is I know this particular publicly traded multi-billion-dollar company spends millions of dollars every year during Pride Month to try to get LGBT tourists to stay at their hotels. And when push comes to shove, they don't back up what they say. But yeah, that was the worst one I've had in recent memory.
Good. Thanks for sharing. Thank you very much. Right, last question for you is, what is your favorite kitchen smell?
Oh, my favorite kitchen smell. Probably I am very fond. My grandmother used to make cinnamon applesauce from scratch. So the smell of cinnamon cooking, that where you get it when it's hot and you get that sort of vapor in the air, that smell, it just totally makes me at ease and puts a big smile on my face. And it's not something you smell very often, but when you do, that fresh hot cinnamon is just like my childhood flooding back to me. So I do love that.
Do you like cooking, Chris?
Yes and no. This is going to sound weird because I did a stint in culinary school, but I love cooking in a production kitchen, like the hotline. Cooking at home, I hate because it's so slow paced, and people want to just hang out when I can't stand it. But the fast action in a production kitchen, everything's going, I enjoy it. But the slow paced home cooking, I'm not a fan of.
Interesting.
So if you ever want me to cook for you, put me in the restaurant kitchen. I'll cook for you, and then I'll come out and eat with you afterwards.
Very good. Right, let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words, and just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
Let's start with family.
Happiness.
Money.
Craziness.
Love.
Serenity.
One word for life.
Exhilarating.
One word for sex.
Ooh. Energetic.
Politics.
Exhausting.
Religion.
Annoying.
Fear.
Normal.
Friendship.
The best.
Desire.
Expensive.
Regrets.
Many.
Success.
Life.
Wish.
Ambition.
One word for happiness.
Joy.
One word for Los Angeles.
Insanity.
One word for USA.
Home.
How about one word for traveling?
Passion.
And the last one now, hotelier designer.
Life. I think I used that on another one, so
You didn't. I think it's
is that
you
life.
can. Okay, fine. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely boyfriend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, tell me what's the most beautiful thing about Chris, and what's something that he still needs to improve on, to work on.
Oh,
what do you
God. I think he would say my curiosity is my best quality. I think my stubbornness, he would say, is my worst quality.
You stand up for your what you're saying.
Yeah, I dig in. Gets me into trouble sometimes.
What is your star sign? Just for curiosity.
I'm a Leo.
Like to be in charge. There you go.
I'm very much a Leo, but I like to think I've lost the hot-headedness of being a Leo. I think with age I've chilled out a little bit, but that's my own opinion.
Let's play now Chris in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. But before you ask me a question, I'd like to tell me what was the most beautiful sky you ever seen in your travel around the world during the night with the stars, and what's the most beautiful sunset as well?
So the most beautiful sky I've ever seen was actually probably in Hawaii. And it's so clear. You can see the Milky Way, you can see the gold flakes of satellites going by, you see shooting stars, and it really brings you back down, I hate to say back down to earth, in the sense of we're just a little speck in this amazing universe. But yeah, it's mind-bending. The most amazing sunset I've ever seen, there's been a couple here in the Middle East on my trips here. There's something about the haze in the sky that when the sun comes down, it turns red. And it's just otherworldly. It's you don't think the sun can be that color. It's not like the typical orange that we see everywhere else. It's like it becomes this red color, and it becomes huge. And that's yeah, it just puts you in awe. It's the great thing to sit back, have a glass of wine, and just watch.
Good. You can ask me a question now.
Your favorite country you've ever been to?
Right. I've been, I don't think I have been 53 countries yet, but I've been in a few countries around the world as well. Actually, I just came back from Canada, actually. I spent Christmas there with my godson and New Year's Eve as well. And it was white Christmas for the very first time, snowing. I would say Switzerland. I think I've been there 3 times. I've been to Zurich, I've been twice to Geneva, the French side. And I'll tell you something, Chris, there is something in the country, that I haven't seen anywhere else in the world. I had the privilege to be with friends who live there. So they took me to these very, local places. We had the motorcycle and we went around as well, some are outside the city. And I remember I was in the back of the motorcycle of my friend. And at one point I was in silence. I was like, are you there still? I said, yes, I'm still here. I'm just like appreciating, looking around, how beautiful it is to be here, how clean, the touch with the nature as well. And I just fell in love with the country and being there. And when I went to the German side as well, I thought it would be something different, but still the same approach, you know what I mean? And I think Switzerland is such a small country, but they have a lot to offer. And I think as well, it's a good place to be. I could live there. I think I could easily live in Switzerland for sure. I think it's one of the countries that's left a good memory in my mind for sure.
I feel like Switzerland, I've only been once, but I felt like I went from Italy into Switzerland, went to Zurich. And I feel like every time you come around the bend on the road, there was another like jaw-dropping, beautiful like view of some other mountain or glacier or lake, or it was just absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a great pick. Switzerland is fabulous.
I still see myself one day living, I don't know forever, for at least spend some time there for a while, just to have the privilege of living in a country like Switzerland, for sure.
Where are you right now? Where are you based?
London.
You're in London. What part of London are you in?
South London, New
Okay.
Brixton. Yeah.
I know it well. There's actually some good bars down on the South Bank now.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Down,
yeah.
But down into Clapham and Brixton.
I would also say Clapham is the best place to be. There's so many restaurants there, and it's very live. Clapham is very live as well. I've been living here for 1 year, and it's very close to me to get to Clapham. It's very close. So I've been spending some time there. I love Clapham as well.
Yeah, no, London's a great city. I'm very jealous. I'd love to move back someday. If I could move anywhere city-wise, it'd be back to London. I love it there.
Next time when you come, drop me a line. We can go for a coffee, afternoon tea, or something.
Absolutely, I will do. And thank you for the invitation to be on your show. And it's been fun. And I look forward to seeing your future episodes.
Thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time as well, Chris. I know you've been on holidays and you still took the time for the interview. It's a privilege for me. Thank you very much. But
absolutely. Sorry I was late.
No, that's a problem at all. Just before you go, I'd like to share a positive message or a positive quote, something that inspires in life.
For me, boy, that's a good question. There's a lot of great quotes out there. I think it really boils down to one very simple quote. It's probably said too often, but I live by it, is live every day like it's your last. Because to be honest, who knows where you're going to be tomorrow? So just enjoy life, enjoy what it brings to you, ride that wave, and enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
Enjoy Egypt for the last few days you have still there.
Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.